Hi guys, so this is presentation 2 and it's the final piece of presentation work you'll have to do for component 1. For this section of your coursework, you're going to create a presentation that looks into the processes and techniques used to create a piece of theatre. We would usually have practical sessions that run alongside this, so I've adapted it to fit with a more research style approach. You'll be looking into 3 plays and how they have been approached. This particular presentation is aimed at those students who are targeted a merit. So if you have a lower or higher target, you need to come out of this video and go into one of the others. For those of you who are targeted a merit but would like to aim higher, please do the same, go out and go into the distinction target one. Okay, so for the merit, we need to be discussing the interrelationships or connections between processes, skills and approaches used by practitioners with appropriate reference to examples of repertoire, remembering that word repertoire simply means performance work, used to demonstrate how they contribute to performance work. So, this presentation is a structure that you can literally edit yourself. I've done all the structure for you, however you don't have to use it. You can do one of your own and have this alongside as a guide. You'll notice that on each slide there's a little blue arrow that has a little message from me as instructions or guidance for how you can complete each slide. So for this one, all you need to do is add your name. If you wanted to pause right now and work on the presentation as I'm discussing through it, please feel free to do so. Or you can listen to the whole thing and then come back to it later. The remainder of this slide is just an introduction for the examiner to say what you'll be exploring. So this presentation is about the process and techniques used to create a piece of theatre. I will be looking at 2 by Jim Cartwright, We Lost Elijah by Ryan Craig, and The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, adapted for stage by Simon Stevens. For the next slide, our starting point. So, research each of the plays and complete the sentences. You may have noticed that some of the information is on the previous slide. So for each one of the plays, you're going to go on the internet, type in the name and the playwright, and have a look through the information about what the play is called, who it's written by, which you should already know, what year it was written in, what the plot of the play is about, and for that extended merit target, from researching the play, I think the most interesting thing about it is that may be some information that you found on the internet, or it may be something you've deciphered for yourself. So for each one of those, add your information. For the next one then, we're looking at similarities and differences. These are more generalised and not based on the plays specifically. You'll notice again that I've put some guidance notes on the bottom in the arrows. So for the first one on the left, what are the differences and similarities between creating and rehearsing a piece of theatre to perform on stage, so a live piece of action theatre, or for film, so something that is filmed and edited later? Think about the length of time you have to do it, the amount of lines you have to learn, and who you might be working with. For the next part of this slide, and again, you can pause here and complete that task first before carrying on, or continue watching and come back to it later. So for the second part, explain the differences between how you begin the processes of rehearsing a script to how you would begin creating a performance from scratch. Think about the director, actors, dialogue within the work versus the starting point, development of scenes and creation of characters when devising. Okay, so if you're working from a script, remember that is a play that a playwright has written and it already has all the information for you that you then have to decipher yourself. The playwright will give you a character, but you need to decide from what you've read what that character will be like, their personalities, their mannerisms and how they act. Versus when you are creating a performance or devising, remember to use that higher level terminology from scratch. So those characters are what you decide for yourself. Again, if you want to pause here, please feel free to do so. For the next slide then, we're looking specifically at one of the plays I mentioned earlier, so the play 2 by Jim Cartwright. In 2018, the play was produced at Derby Theatre. You'll notice in the top right hand corner that I have added a YouTube clip in that you can watch directly from the PowerPoint, or you can use the YouTube link below. It is the trailer for the performance that they did at Derby Theatre, and will give you a little bit of an insight into what the play is about and how it was created and performed. Note that at the top, I've just said you'll need to use your research skills for this slide. You should also watch the YouTube clip, as I mentioned. You'll then answer the 3 questions. Again, if you don't want to use my structure on this PowerPoint, please feel free to use your own, but ensure that all the questions are answered. So, number 1, 2 was performed at Derby Theatre in 2018. What is Derby Theatre like? You can add pictures and explain them. You'll notice underneath there I've put a link. As this is a research-based task, as we weren't able to look at it practically, I have added in certain web pages where you can find that information. It is there, it's just a matter of reading through it. And again, I can't emphasise enough that you should not be copying and pasting. If you do, the examiner will know, trust me, and they'll simply send your presentation back, and it won't be part of your coursework, which will affect your grade. So make sure the information you find is in your own words. Then answer the question in the box below. For question 2, what was different about the way they performed the piece? Again, I've put a link underneath to a website where you can find that information. You can also, for those higher level thinkers, be thinking about the clip that you've watched in the top right hand corner. So, what was different? What was not necessarily naturalistic about the play? How did they perform it? Remember that adding examples and explaining and giving reasoning for your answers will get you that higher level. Finally then for this slide, number 3, the playwright uses the style of epic theatre by Bertolt Brecht. We have looked at this before Christmas. How does he use it? So again, think back to the fact that epic theatre is about giving the audience a message. It's not a naturalistic way of performing. And they use lots of different dramatic techniques, such as multi-rolling, still images, thought tracking, physical theatre, conscience corridor, and many more. Try to put some of that terminology in your answer and think about how they use that to create an effective piece. Again, if you want to pause here and complete the slide as we are working, that's fine. Or if you want to carry on, that's also fine. Next slide then, we're looking at We Lost Elijah. Okay, another play that we would have explored practically and that hopefully we'll get some time to do when we return. First question then. We Lost Elijah is a play from a collection by the National Theatre Connections. Research this company and explain the purpose of National Theatre Connections plays and the background of the company. You can use the website below to help you, but again, please do not copy and paste. You must research and write the information you find in your own words. I've added a specific website for you to use there to give you a hand in finding that information. It is there, you just need to have a look for it and write your understanding of it. Once you've done that, then go on to question 2. So research the play We Lost Elijah and explain any further plot points you have found since the first task. So you should have already explained what the play was about in general, but have a look for some more information. What is the play based on? What are you supposed to learn from it? And if you were to perform this piece, how could you use epic theatre to help the audience understand the message of the piece? So think about what the message is from your research. What's the point of the play? What are they trying to get the audience to understand? Think about, feel, learn, and then think about how you could use dramatic techniques to emphasise this. You might want to, particularly to ensure you've got that higher grade, put an example in from a scene. So if I was to perform scene 1, I would use this technique at this point and why. Moving on then. The third and final play is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time. Again, I've put a YouTube link at the top right hand corner there to give you an idea of the play that we're looking at. You'll notice again that there's an arrow in the top right hand top left hand even, that you can see some information that I've put there to guide you. So, frantic assembly are the theatre group who helped to create and stage the production of the play. You're going to need to research them and complete the sentences and answer the questions. Again, you'll notice at the bottom left, I have put a research website there for you to guide you, and you need to answer the questions in the bubbles. So, the first one, you're looking for the frantic method and what it is. Examples and detail is key. Do not copy and paste. 2, what do they do and why do they do it? Remember, to get a merit, the key is always why. We must say why. Number 3, why is their work and style important when creating the play Curious Incident? Examples are really key here, guys. Finally then, how do they interrelate or connect? So, after looking at all 3 plays, you can see that they create performance work using very different processes and skills that they combine to make great theatre. Discuss your thoughts on all 3 of them individually, making any notes of similarities and or differences. So under each one of the titles, making those notes of your understanding of them and noting down why they might be similar or different. Okay? Remember that they're all performed in very different ways with very different styles, but there might be some elements of each one, and there are, that are similar. If you need any more help or guidance with this, please let me know. I'm only an email away, and I'll help you in any way that I can.